Alrighty, folks. Hello, and we are moving on to chapter 5, and we're talking in this section about polynomials, and specifically today talking about multiplying polynomials. And yes, we will be using pictures, but not that kind of picture. Sorry, that's just a really bad joke. So we're going to be looking, first of all, what a polynomial is. If you don't remember from last year, here's a quick review. Okay, so these are all examples of polynomials. For example, a monomial is a collection of a coefficient. The 2 here is a coefficient, my variable, and the variable has an exponent. It happens to be 2 as well. Okay, and that's called a monomial because there's just one term. This is another one term. My coefficient's -4, and variables a and b, both with an exponent of 1. Pi r squared is another monomial, okay? And so binomials then have two terms separated by a plus or minus sign. So 2x minus 3y is a binomial. All these guys over here on the left are just individual terms. They're not being added or subtracted together, just on their own terms, one term. So that's a monomial. Oops, erase that. And then obviously trinomials have 3 terms separated by plus or minus signs. And the name we give to all of these collectively are polynomials, and that would also describe anything with 4 or more terms as well. Okay, so that's what a polynomial is. Let's look at multiplying them, but before we do that, we're going to multiply some other numbers in a pictorial way and explain how it relates to polynomials. So let's just try a little weird example here first. Okay, so for example, the product of 13 and 14 is 182. You can do that on your calculator pretty easily if you don't believe me. And we can do it on a calculator, or if you don't have a calculator, you can also do it pictorially. This is another little shortcut we can learn if we set it up like this. Okay, so imagine a line that is 13 units long, made up of 2 sections, 10 plus 3, which is 13, and a vertical line, same thing, 10 plus 4, which is 14. And if we're going to fill in the area that these two lines make, like rectangles that they make, or squares, or whatever, we can look at that. So for example, look at the 10 by 10 section here, and that 10 by 10 square has an area of 100. Do the same thing for the area below that, and that has an area here of, well, 4 by 10 is going to be 40. So right there, 40, like that. And I can fill in the other two rectangles on the right here, and we get 30 and 12 for those. And if you add up all those numbers, in other words, 100 plus 40 plus 30 is 170, and 170 plus 12, look at that, is 182, the same thing as it is right there. So we don't actually need to multiply things in our head. We can also just draw them pictorial like that. Something interesting, and get you to try one just like it right now. Try this example here. So 17 times 12, just pause the video, draw a line. One's going to be 10 plus 7 for 17, and then 10 plus 2 for 12. And then draw in the rectangles and see what you get for an answer. You have 2 seconds. Okay, well, those are the lines and rectangles that we get. Here are the areas. And we see we get 170 plus 20. 170 plus 20 is 190. 190 plus 14 is 204. And sure enough, if we calculate that, the answer is indeed 204. So that does work, and this also is helpful for us when we're learning how to multiply polynomials. We're going to start with some easy examples, and it's going to get a bit more challenging as we go. So here is something called, remember these? Algebra tiles. That's right. Check this out. Okay, remember these guys? We had a little small red square was a 1, and then you had the long skinny guys an x, and then the big squares an x squared, and then if they were white, then they were negatives. And we used those for multiplying and adding a little bit last year, and we're going to continue that again. So for example, something like x plus 3 with algebra tiles would look like this, right? And then we could set up something like, say, x plus 2 below it, like vertically. And then just like the previous examples, we could fill in the rectangles that take up the extra space in there, and we could come up with the answer. I think we did this last year, so I'm going to stop this video here and go to the next video. In the next video, I'm going to show you the answer. See if you can figure what the answer is going to be without me showing it to you. So I'll show you next video what the answer is.